بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة، وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا، حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. اللهم اجعلنا من أعوانه وأنصاره. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. So we have a lot of content to cover today. Inshallah, I try to be fast. I received a comment that it's better to be quicker, so we'll do that. So that means we need more attention, everyone, so we can all together go forward. So last week we started with preliminaries, talking about the author of the book and a high-level overview of the Kitab al-Mikyal, the chapters and all. So with that, we continue our discussion. I think we will do, I will talk, present, and then pause for question, comments. I know, alhamdulillah, that was good seeing friends, they read or at least tried to read the book as much as they could. So based on the question comments that I received, which is good. So that makes the conversation more fruitful, inshallah. So with that, let's go to our content. The second part of this small booklet that I introduced last week, we will go over different topics. So the numbers that you see are the lessons from this book, but I will tell you about the correlating chapter in Kitab al-Mikyal. So inshallah, we are going to talk about an important chapter. There are two different topics and concepts which I want to distinguish, and each of those two will be addressed in two different ways. So total we'll have 4 topics and concepts. That's why it might be a little confusing. So I try to break it down so you can follow. One is recognizing and the ma'rifah of the Imam alayhi salam, getting to know him. And before that is the topic of existence of the Imam alayhi salam. According to our belief, why there should be a living Imam on earth, right? What are the proofs that we can establish to talk about and show that the necessity of existence of the Imam, one concept, the necessity and obligation of getting to know the Imam alayhi salam, another concept. Each of those, we'll talk about them from 2 angles, 2 points of view. One would be from or in light of intellect, aql, based on our intellect, our aql that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, why there should be an Imam and why we should get to know him. And also what we call it in light of scriptures or nas, text. I mean, there are different words. We should agree on one and then move on. I ask some friends, like, scripture also implies the hadith as well. It's not only Quran or Bible, scripture. So nas. So each of those 2 we will address from 2 angles. And again, that's what in the Kitab al-Mikyal has been presented. This is mainly in chapter 1 and then the chapter 2 as well. I know I asked 1 and 3, so we'll get there inshallah. Any comment, any question on the overall plan today? We're good? All right. So the first of 4, necessity of, this is like 2 of them together, and then we break it down. Necessity of existence of the Imam and obligation to know the Imam. So with that, we inshallah go to the first, which is the necessity of existence in light of intellect. So why it is necessary that there should be a divinely appointed or godly person on earth that be a guide for mankind, for humanity. That itself is a very deep and broad topic which can be discussed in depth. And as we said last week, all of these concepts that we talk about, we just touch upon. There would be a lot of more discussions if you are interested to read more. So everyone will have, once we get to know ourselves, there are fundamental questions that come to our mind. Everyone asks these questions, right? Who am I? Where am I? Right? And then, have I been created, or just randomly I was dropped on earth, right? All these fundamental questions that you all know about will raise and then kind of bother us if we care. Which sometimes it becomes very critical, because it may lead to nihilism and just, okay, I commit suicide. Why am I here? Doesn't make any sense. There is no purpose of life and all of that. So at the same time, if we believe in God, if those questions lead us to the belief and cognizance of God, the creator, the question is, okay, what is the relationship between me and him, the creator? So what should be, how should I treat him? Did he talk to me? Did he ask me? Or is there anything that he wants me to do? Or does he have any right to ask so, right? The other concept and other topics that come to our mind is about the ni'mah, the blessings, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has showered us with countless bounties. That itself, again, is something, if we recognize, our life will be different. If we see the bounty and the blessing of existence, like wujud, being existent, instead of not being existent at all. Yet existence, but existence as human being. We could have been rocks, we could have been animals. So we were chosen, even though we were nothing, we were not even mentionable, no one could even point out to us. Allah chose us to create us and create us as humans, not as rocks or animals or whatever, right? So again, recognizing that brings the question of, our intellect tells us you should be thankful and grateful to your benefactor, to the sustainer, to one who provided sustenance. Even nowadays in our daily life, we do that, we practice that with people that we know they're not the owner of that. Like, for example, today, friends, they woke up earlier than us, prepared breakfast here, brought food here. Even we know that the sustainer is God, but we feel we should thank them, and that's an obligation. We feel that, right? If we go back to the light of intellect, aql is a light. It shed lights, right? We see that's something we have to do. It's ugly, it's bad to just say, oh, okay, that was their duty. They were supposed to prepare that. They committed to that. Things that sometimes we say, right? Or sometimes we say to our parents, oh, you were supposed to prepare housing or provide housing and food for me. No, they were not supposed to. And that's the blessing, right? So that leads to the question of, how can I thank my creator, right? How can I find out what he wants from me in order to fulfill my duties? Because I have nothing, right? Everything is given to me, so I feel in debt. So in order to fulfill my duties of thanking him, and that leads to worship, but worship not as, okay, feeling like, okay, if I don't do that, he would be upset. No, that's not from his side. Rather, I feel obliged to go and show my servitude to him. So all of these questions and topics lead to the necessity of existence of at least a connection. Someone, because obviously God has not talked to us directly. Anyone had discussion with God recently about, bro, I want this from you, or these are things that I want you to do. For any reason, for some reason, he didn't do that. But still, we feel the gap. We feel that need. So into that, I want to, there is a second bullet here. You see the sovereignty of God, right? Sultanah, his sovereignty. So if you are the Rabbul Alameen, creator of universe or universes or multiverse, of everything, and then you created me here, you could have created me as, I don't know, rock, as I said, or tree or animal, but now you created me as human. You gave me intellect and you give me freedom, right? Power. We feel that we are strong. We feel that we are powerful. We can do a lot of things, right? We can go to Mars. We can create a nuke and like destroy things or do amazing things. So these are, animals can't do that. Why? Because first of all, they don't have intellect and as we do, and they don't have the free will as we do, right? So you did all, and then you let me go, like, without any guidance, without anything. That's bad. That's not what I expect from a Rabbul Alameen. So that's the point about sovereignty of God. So again, as I said, these are just points that we can deep dive into them. But again, we don't have much time. So the whole purpose is we touch upon them and move on. If friends are more interested, we can talk later or give references to go in more details. So if you don't tell me, if you don't guide me, I'll be lost, right? So that, my aql says, doesn't make sense. This is not what I expect from such a Lord, from sovereignty of God, to just leave everything alone. So there are two verses of Quran, but they are not, I don't provide them as a textual proof. Rather, as I put the note, Quranic reminders for our intellect. Sometimes Quran talks to our intellect, says, you are aqil. Allah has given you this gem, the aql, that you can see things with. But sometimes you ignore it. But I am reminder, dhikra. That's one of the names of Quran. The Quran calls himself dhikra. Dhikra means reminder, wake-up calls, something that you have but you forgot about. So these two verses that I put here are as a reminder. Quran says, أَيَحْسَبُ الْإِنسَانُ أَنْ يُتْرَكَ سُدًى? Like, do you think that you have been abandoned? Just do whatever you want? Purposeless, aimless? That's not God. That's not the wise God that we know. أَفَحَسِبْتُمْ أَنَّمَا خَلَقْنَاكُمْ عَبَثًا وَأَنَّكُمْ إِلَيْنَا لَا تُرْجَعُونَ? Did you think that we just created you aimlessly? Again, these are reminded. We don't say because Quran said creation has purpose, then it has purpose. No, it doesn't make sense to be aimless, but Quran just sends us a reminder. So these two short slides about the necessity of existence in light of aql. That means existence of hujjah in general, from time of Adam alayhi salam till day of judgment. And that's one of the core belief of us as Shias, and I would call it even monumental, the most unique belief of Shias, that at all time Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provided guidance because his sovereignty necessitates doing so, not leaving people alone. So any question, any comment on this before we go to the obligation to know the Imam? So again, now we talked about the existence. Next, we go to why we should get to know him, like try to know him. Okay, we know there should be a person. Allah would not leave us alone. But now we have the obligation to go and learn about him, find out about him, right? So any comment, any question? Again, that part, if you have read the Kitab al-Mikyal, sometimes I like to refer to the book as that was our main book that we are studying and reviewing. It's been mentioned in the chapter 1, right? So chapter 1 has 2 parts, intellectual and in light of the scriptures. Okay, let's move on. Now, I think it's clear, we don't need to talk too much about it. When we talked about the necessity of existence of an imam, some of those reasons were about getting to know him, right? Because we want to know what Allah has asked me, what he wants from me. And this is clear that we should know and we should care, and this is our obligation to know what he wants from us, and we fulfill those. So there are 3 reasons we can think of, and again, if anyone can add more or think about more, that would be great to share with others, that we need to not only believe that, oh yeah, there should be a godly person, but I don't care about who he is, and that doesn't have anything to do with me. So, you see, I'm trying to differentiate between the first and the second. No, it's not like that. We should get to know him. Why? Because 1, they are the path to know what God wants from us. We talked about it. Second, which is really interesting and important, they are the teachers of etiquettes of worship and servitude. So not only telling us like this is the book, handing to me and move on. No, the teachers and elaborating on the etiquettes of living, right? Etiquettes of worship and servitude. You see, like someone say, oh yeah, Allah wants me, my creator wants me to do this and that. I thought that he will be happy with me jumping up and down every day 3 times. That's what he wants from me, for example. Where did you get that from? And in action, for example, he wants us to talk to him. Ud'uni astajib lakum. How should I talk to God? How should I do my supplication? Now we see the example of, for example, our prayers, Dua Abu Hamza, like the great resources that we have. These are the teachings of the prophets, all of them. Like at some level, we are talking about all the prophets and Hujjaj, and specifically we'll talk about Imam Mahdi alayhi salam because he's the Imam of our time. And also the exemplar for those teachings. They were not just like smoking doctors that they talk about the threats and the problems of smoking. You should not smoke, that's bad, but they do. So I cannot be an exemplar of teachings of Ahlul Bayt because I am sinful, I'm not infallible. So that's the reason that Allah chose those people, because that makes sense that you have a teacher that he himself applies and follow those teachings that he delivered to us. That's why when we talked about the concept of ismah, that's very, very important. I know that's something that the other sects of Islam, Sunnis, they don't believe in, they don't feel the obligation. One night, the Q&A session, the youth session here, I was talking about the concept of isma a little bit. I mentioned, remember, believing in isma is not just something about that person, the imam or the prophet. It's about God. Remember, if you don't believe in isma, you are questioning God. That, interesting. You, God, with all those knowledge and everything, all great things that you have, you chose someone to be my God, my guide, sorry, and now he himself needs a helper because oh, I think we are back. Okay, sorry, friends online, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you, Agha.
Sorry, I don't know what happened. It's not windy here, but the internet was gone. So I think recording is in progress as well, right? Yeah. All right. Sorry. I was talking about the importance of the belief in Isma. It's not something that, oh, because we are Shia, we are known to be like that. As Ma'mun in one of his discussion and arguments with Imam Rida says, oh, you Shias, you believe in Isma, isn't that the case? Imam says, yes. So we were known as believers in Isma. But why that's important? I want to emphasize on that. We should recognize the beauty and the necessity of that belief. Because as I said, that would be insult to God that you sent me a teacher, you sent me someone that's supposed to edify me, and now he himself has flaws, has problems. He himself I cannot rely on him. What if Isma is like, not having Isma is like even a crack on these beautiful ways that we have. I cannot trust it anymore. I cannot rely on that, right? So let's move on. So the exemplar for those teachings is also a very important fact. So the Imams and the Prophets, they were not only postmen. No, they had the knowledge. They were teachers. They elaborated on all those things. And also they acted upon. They were the exemplar and role models. So any comment, any question? I know we are going a little fast, but I think that was one of the, as I said, comments. So, okay. Now we go to a very beautiful and interesting topic, which will be the necessity of existence in light of this. So I know that voice. Let's see. Okay. So this part is addition to the Kitab of Mikyal. I thought because the whole topic of our discussion is about Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, we don't need to limit ourselves only in the Kitab of Mikyal, especially in this part. I thought that would be really important because this topic that I'm going to talk about is, in my opinion, overlooked even among our, Shia scholarship. We don't talk about it that much, the implication of the Hadith al-Thaqalain. So the topic, necessity of existence of the Imam alayhi salam or Hujjah at all time in light of scriptures. One of the most famous ahadith that is narrated from Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is Hadith al-Thaqalain. In many different occasions, in many different forms of verbiage that Prophet used, that itself is a lengthy topic. We talked about it in other classes. If anyone is interested, I can share the audios about that specific topic. Long story short, this part I brought it from Sahih Muslim, right? As I said, this is narrated in Sunni sources a lot, in Sahih Muslim, Tirmidhi, and others, which basically says, Prophet says, and this is interesting. I want to mention this in Sahih Muslim. Before it says, narrates the Hadith Thaqalain, it gives the context, which is Ghadir, Ahsan. So two birds with one shot. In this Hadith from Sahih Muslim, he says, we were in the Ghadir Khum, Prophet gave a lecture. After that, he said that the angel of death is coming to me. I'm a human like you. I'll die soon. So وَأَنَا تَارِكٌ فِيكُمْ ثَقَلَيْنِ. So I'm leaving among you two weighty things, as you all know. Quran and حَثَّ عَلَى. I want to emphasize on this word حَثَّ. Those that they know Arabic will see a quote from another Sunni scholar about that. حَثَّ عَلَى كِتَابِ اللَّهِ. Prophet encouraged a lot about Quran. And then he said, وَأَهْلُ بَيْتِي, my family, وَذَكِّرُكُمُ اللَّهَ فِي أَهْلِ بَيْتِ. 3 times he said, I remind you about my Ahlul Bayt, I remind you about my Ahlul Bayt, I remind you about my Ahlul Bayt. Why? Because if you are holding firm to those, you will not be misguided. Okay, we all know about that hadith, but we usually forget about or don't pay attention about the implication. So I brought two points of views, similar point of view from Sunnis and Shias about the implication of Hadith Saghalain. Ibn Hajar Asqalani, who is a very famous anti-Shia Sunni scholar, in his book that it itself is written to refute Shia beliefs, he says, we have you can see the text, I translate. In the narrations, we have hath. As I said, hath means what? Encouragement, like very strong encouragement, right? Even the word itself, like it has that, right? There's a huge encouragement. Who is saying this? Ibn Hajar Asqalani, who is again known to be anti-Shia, not a regular Sunni. He says, we in the ahadith we have a lot of emphasis and encouragement on tamassuk, be holding firm to Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. That encouragement, isharatun ila adam inqita'. Pause for a second. If I say, for you, in order to be cured and not get any medicine or COVID, I know officially it was announced last week that we are the emergency of COVID is gone. We're not going back to work. Alhamdulillah, still in the office, home office. If I say, oh, in order to not get the COVID, you should be vaccinated. But the vaccine is not there. We have not discovered it yet. We don't have the production line yet. But I'm telling you, everyone should be vaccinated. Otherwise, you will be sick. You will be dead. They say, bro, what's wrong with you? What is that order and command that you are commanding me to do, but you are not providing what you are ordering me to, right? Sisters, do you have a question? Or I saw that the microphone is open. I think that was a mistake also. Sorry. Does that make sense? If you are, or at least a wise person, you may say, oh, these are dumb. They are dumb because they're ordering something, but they're not providing. But we expect from God, we expect from Prophet, when he is ordering something as a guarantee not to be misled and misguided, what I'm commanding to should be provided as well. So Ibn Hajar says, the point that Prophet emphasized on beholding firm to Ahlul Bayt points out to the continuity, Adam inqita', continuity of their existence at all time, ila yawm al-qiyamah, as the same way as the book of God will be there. Basically, in another word, because Prophet has said, behold firm to these two weighty things in order not to be misguided. So that means as long as the book of God exists, there should be a muta'ahhilun minhum, a competent person of the Ahlul Bayt available. So I can act upon the command of Prophet. Does that make sense? Please comment on this. That argument, which again is mentioned by a Sunni scholar, and we have similar argument from Imam Baqir alayhi salam. Right? So we are talking about the necessity of existence of Imam at all time in light of scriptures. One of the first and most important scriptures I mentioned was Hadith Saghalain. There is a question from Imam Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam, narrated by Imam Rida alayhi salam. So we mentioned the Sunni implication, but now we see how our Imams also talked about Hadith Saghalain. As I said, it's a very couple of hours of discussion. We are just presenting very briefly. Imam Rida alayhi salam says, Amir al-Mu'minin, Imam Ali alayhi salam, was asked about the word of Prophet, Hadith Saghalain. That itself shows the hadith was very famous. And we have example of that a lot. Like people would come to other Imams, they say, what do you say about the hadith of Prophet? That means that hadith was very common among people. They all knew about it, so they would ask question about it, right? Amir al-Mu'minin gave the example. And again, this hadith has the special name of Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. I want to mention that, and we all raise and show our respect to him. Yes.
There's a question.
Thank you. We asked, based on the comment and feedback from someone, to have an assistant. Thank you, Faisal. This is true if you believe in Prophet Muhammad. How to answer the same question for non-Muslim? Ahsan. Yes, that's a very good point. I'll get there. Let me finish this hadith and then I'll come to this question. Amir al-Mu'mineen said, the itra of Prophet are me, Imam Hassan, Imam Hussein, والأئمة التسعة, the 9 Imam, من ولد الحسين, تاسعهم مهديهم وقائمهم. They are me, Hassan, Hussein, and the 9th Imam from the offspring and descendant of Hussein. The 9th of them is Mahdi and the upright one, or the name of Imam. لا يفارقون كتاب الله ولا يفارقهم. Again, they will not be split or far from Quran. This is, unassociated from Quran till Day of Judgment. So, this specific part, Sister Mansoura in the chat, the question was, the argument that we have right now works for people that they believe in Prophet. If they don't, it doesn't work for them, which I agree. That's why it's called in light of scriptures. So in light of scriptures would be for those that they believe in those scriptures, right? But the previous arguments, which are in light of aql and intellect, we can have that discussion with anyone who believes in God. Okay, so that would one step before prophethood, if that makes sense. If they believe in God, we can have that argument and discussion in light of aql, that do you think God created everything like aimlessly and without any purpose, and he doesn't want anything from me? Where is his sovereignty? Like, he just created and let go of? That's not something wise that I create, I don't know, like amazing mall or amazing, you name it. Say something very amazing. You know better than me, huh? Seriously. Computer or something very mind-blowing. And then say, oh, I just created that for fun. Say, okay, go see your doctor because something wrong. Because I know God didn't spend time or energy, but you see the point. So that argument we can have it with anyone who believes in God, But this one, yes, that's for people who believe in the scriptures, which, as I started with, that can be among Muslims who believe in the word of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We started with Hadith Saghalain, which is very, very common and famous hadith, and I gave you references from Sunni scholars as well. The same argument that Ibn Hajar had before him, Imam Baqir alayhi salam mentioned that. So we feel more comfortable referring to that, which is, again, very interesting. Imam Baqir alayhi salam, similar thing, you see it on the screen. Sa'd al-Iskaf asked Imam about Hadith Saghalain. Shows how famous it was. Imam says, لا يزال كتاب الله والدليل منا يدل عليه. As long as the book of God exists, that hadith shows and confirms that there should be a person from us leading to that, be connected with Quran. So you guys can fulfill the command of Prophet. Okay? Yes.
I think we're going to talk about this later, but I can ask this came to my mind. So, in the time of the Imam, when the Imam was readily available, at least, right? You know the question. So how is it right now? How is, isn't the whole purpose of us being in Hudaybiya that we're in this like state of confusion? We don't know what the right law is. Should I pray like this? Is this najis, this thought, for example?
Great. Friends online, did you hear the question?
Not quite.
Okay. Actually, Faisal, because you're in, can you open your microphone? I'll mute here. So see if you can talk. Okay, don't worry about it. I repeat the question, so that will cause problem. So the question was very, I mean, always expected question, and whenever I talk about this or whenever this topic comes up, the question is, be ready because I'm asking you now. When the question is from the audience, I first refer to the audience. All these arguments that you are providing works when that person is accessible, is available, right? So you are saying, so where is the thaqalain? So where is the imam that I can be hold firm to in order to be on the path of guidance? Is the question clear? Areza, others?
Yes.
Does the question make sense? Of course. Okay. So, what are your thoughts on the answer? Anyone? Online, offline, in person?
Yeah, I don't like the generalization that our imam isn't accessible, the others were because the others weren't always accessible. How am I going to access Imam Musa Kaveh? Am I just going to walk into prison and go, hey, can I talk to him? No, not all the imams were accessible. The time of Imam Jafar, he had mujtahids that he appointed in different cities. And it's not the exact same, but the concept still exists today.
Okay, so Brother Jamil said, I don't like the differentiation between like Imam Mahdi and excluding him from others. Then, okay, assuming that all the imams are accessible and only Imam Mahdi is not accessible. A Shia in the time of Imam Kazim could have not just walked into the prison and meet the Imam and ask questions and get guidance, which is a good point. But remember, it adds to the other side. So it makes the question even worse, right? It helps to, sorry for my language, to shut my mouth and say, okay, but that means all the imams, they had the same problem, right? So, does that make sense? Like, I know we talked about it before. Exactly. You put all of us in one line and shut all of us. One of the sisters say, "Oh, someone want to talk?"
Yeah. I have another way of responding to Brother Jamil's comment here, because I think the way that we have to understand the access to our imam isn't necessarily, us having physical access to, the imam to get, our answers, but rather this access to the imam is meaning that there is a living human being on this earth who has the answer for us. And so it's up to us to be able to get that answer. So the answer is there, and Allah has made this, how should I say it? Has
available.
made it,
even say available, right?
Exactly, right. And without a doubt, there's always that answer available, and then it's upon us to go and get that answer.
Or ask for that answer.
Or ask for it, right, exactly. Do whatever it takes to get that answer.
In line with what Brother Reza said, one of our sisters mentioned in the chat, it is not about them being accessible, it is about us seeking for them, which is a very valid point. So I in response to that question, usually I mention the Surah Al-Hamd. What do we say in Surah Al-Hamd? We say, oh Allah, ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim. Guide us to the right path. In the same context, I mean, you see the little bit of joking here, but is God more accessible or Imam Kazim more accessible? At least Imam Kazim is visible, right? We can see him. Shia could see him. Imam Mahdi, alayhi salam, at least some people saw him, but no one has seen God. Do we say, oh, God is not accessible? As Brother Reza and Sister Mansoura all mentioned in a great form, it's about us knowing that the answer is there. How they want to deliver the answer, that's their job. They know how to do it. God may randomly put something in mind of my daughter, Faisal, someone. in a random conversation, I say, oh, what you don't know what you're talking about. I know, because I asked God last night about something, and now in your talking, I got my answer. Some way, he knows how to do it. The point is, Allah has not left us alone. And the fact that Hadith Saghalain emphasizes and commands us to do so, that means that as Imam Baqir alayhi salam beautifully mentioned, لا يزال كتاب الله والدليل منا يدل عليه. As long as the book of God exists, so when I want to go read Quran, how should I do that? Again, remember, we are in the discussion of Imam Mahdi class. Right now, when I want to go in the month of Ramadan, I want to read Quran. And I know Prophet has told me, تمسكوا حث على تمسك بهم, right? How should I do that? I should do that. I say, oh Imam Zaman alayhi salam, I am going to read Quran. This is the book of guidance, and it can be the book of misguidance. Help me. Watch me. I don't know. My job is to ask. My job is the tamassuk. The rest is on you. But I have to do my part. Every morning that I wake up, I should, if I care, I should connect. I should say salam to Imam and say, I started another day. Prophet has told me, ma in tamassaktum bihima lan tadillu min ba'di abada. So I say salam to you. I show my respect. So have that in mind. And as we go forward, overviewing and reviewing the book of Mikyal, those will make more sense. Why the prayer for the Imam is important. That part, it's part of that tamassuk, that I show that I care. I show that I'm here. I say my salam. In my word, oh Imam, don't forget me. I'm here. I'm asking you. So that part, asking itself, is important. Remember last week we talked about dua, the concept of dua, why it is important. Allah says in Quran, وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ أُجِيبُ دَعْوَةً. I'm close. Ask me. فَلْيَسْتَجِيبُوا لِي فَلْيُؤْمِنُوا بِي. They should call upon me. That call itself is important. That shows I am in, I care, I'm asking, I'm connecting. So then the rest would be on you, and they know their job very well. Like they do it in the best way possible. And we have a lot of examples. Again, I feel bad. I mean, somehow, I know being quick and precise is good, but we can't bring all the examples, the stories of our life, your life, recent examples, everything. That how out of blue, like how come that Imam knew and did that, and beforehand he thought about me. When I asked, again, someone walked in and they say something, and the question and the challenge that I had in my life, it's not only about, let me say this, it's not only about religious matters. It's about life. It's about everything. If I'm stuck in my life, choosing career, choosing spouse, choosing city to live in, everything, Allah has not left us alone without any support. He has said, I am here. I have provided a guide on earth among you, from you, that he's the support. You're stuck in life. You are angry. You are sad. You are down. You don't know what to do. You want money, whatever. Just ask, be connected. Tamassaku. So it's not, I'm not saying that it's only when you want to recite Quran. That's how we said last week that, inshallah, in light of these discussions, our life, the way that we live our lives, will change and should change, inshallah. So let's move on if there is no other comment or question. There is? Oh, thanks, by the way. Thanks a lot for participating. I really appreciate it, and I like it when friends ask questions or share their thoughts. I think Brother Hussam is mentioning a verse from Quran. We raised from among them leaders, guiding by our command when they patiently endured and firmly believed in our signs. Thank you. I think if we can have Arabic, that would be good, at least for me. I think that's that verse. وَجَعَلْنَاهُمْ أَئِمَّةً يَهْدُونَ بِأَمْرِنَا وَأَوْحَيْنَا إِلَيْهِمْ فِعْلَ الْخَيْرَاتِ. Is that it? وَكَانُوا بِآيَاتِنَا مُوقِنِينَ, something like that, right?
32 points.
Yes, that's what I'm cheating now. Yes, yes. So that was right. وَجَعَلْنَا مِنْهُمْ. So that's good that from English now I can guess the Arabic. وَجَعَلْنَا مِنْهُمْ أَئِمَّةً يَهْدُونَ بِأَمْرِنَا لَمَّا صَبَرُوا Oh, that was another one actually. وَكَانُوا بِآيَاتِنَا يُوقِنُونَ. We have the similar ayah that the word أئمة is used. وَأَوْحَيْنَا إِلَيْهِمْ فِعْلَ الْخَيْرَاتِ. We revealed to them the how to do good deeds, how to be good. That's connected to and related to our previous subject. All right, great, thank you. Surah Sajdah, ayah 24. Let me actually see it. Okay, that's enough. So let's move on. I'm looking at the clock. So now we go to the fourth topic that hopefully we can cover it today. Now, obligation to know him in light of a scripture. We talked about the existence, but now the ma'rifah. In the Kitab of Mikyal, those that you read the chapter 1, you see that he has gathered 14 hadith about the obligation to know Imam alayhi salam, Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. There is one hadith, the 10th one in this book, which is a very famous hadith I wanted to mention. The famous hadith of cognizance of the Imam. Man mata wa lam ya'rif imam zamanihi mata mitatan jahiliyah. So that is another very famous hadith in Islamic literature, not only Shia literature. And actually, historically, we know that was more famous among Sunnis than Shias. Interesting at the beginning, because that was a hadith by Prophet, and for some reason it was more famous among Sunnis to the point that sometimes Shias had doubt about it. They would come ask Imams about this, and Imam would confirm, no, this is from Prophet, and they gave more elaboration and explanation on that. So when the hadith says, whoever dies and doesn't have the ma'rifah and cognizance of the Imam of his time, his death will be death of the time of ignorance. So that itself shows the obligation to know the Imam of our time. This in the and as you can see, Sahib Mikyal, after narrating this in number 10, he says that there are the ahadith mentioned in this language, in this verbiage, are a lot. So he himself knows about it, but to be precise, he doesn't go to details. In Sunni sources, we have different words for that. Man mata bighayri imam, who dies without having an imam. Man mata wa laysa alayhi imam. Man mata la ta'ata alayhi. Someone who dies who doesn't have any obedience, any bay'ah with the imam, his death will be death of jahiliyah. Sorry. So I brought, just for reference, a snapshot of the hadith in the Musnad of Abu Dawood, which is the oldest Sunni source who narrated this, 204 after Hijrah, which means how many years before the birth of Imam Mahdi alayhi salam? Yes.
It was what, 49 years before.
Yes, like 40, 50 years before the time of Imam Mahdi. Again, this hadith is very famous, and this author has mentioned that. So, but let's move on. As I said, in the Mikyal, there are 14 hadith, and I encourage you, go read. I picked 2 more to read and discuss here. I want a volunteer, preferably from online friends, so everyone can hear easily, to read these 2 hadith. This is the hadith number 8. Doesn't what?
Doesn't show all the way. It's on the right.
Oh, I think that should be good for them. That's the TV problem, right? Areza, can you see the hadith?
Yes, I can. I can read it if you would like me to. Okay.
While your microphone is open, read it for us, please.
Sure. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In an authentic report, it is stated that Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam said, "The apex of the thing, the height of it, the key to it, the gate to everything, and the good pleasure of Ar-Rahman, the Blessed, the Sublime, is obedience to the Imam after knowing him. Then he said, Allah, the Blessed, the Sublime says, whosoever obeys the Messenger, thereby obeys Allah, and whosoever turns his back, we have not sent thee to be a watcher over them. And if a person stands for prayer in the nights, fasts during the days, gives away all his property in sadaqah, and goes for the Hajj. Sorry, I got something popped up. And goes for the Hajj every year of his life, but does not have recognition of the Wali of Allah, so that he may follow him and perform all his deeds under his guidance. He is not eligible to receive any rewards from Allah, and he is not from the believers.
Okay, so
There's a question in the chat.
yes, thank you. What do we get from this hadith? Again, I try to, as much as we can, make it a little bit more discussion form, considering the time. So, the hadith from Imam Baqir alayhi salam, what is it that is interesting for you? Yes, I have shared the recording and the slides, and I will do it after the class, inshallah, in the Telegram group channel. If you're not in the Telegram channel, please join to be connected. And I encourage you, al-hath al-tamassuk bil-Telegram channel, so to be connected. I will share the link. Sorry. Okay, let's not be distracted. I will share it here. Or Faisal, can you please send it in the chat?
Okay.
You cannot?
No,
Why not?
I can't find the link.
Okay, I'll send it. All right. So I was waiting. Any thought? What do you get from this hadith? Yes.
I was getting that whatever like good deeds or I mean just good deeds you do, like all like your hajj, your song, whatever that is, like your good deeds won't be rewarded if you don't have like follow your imam.
Why is that? Is it just because Shia Nara Haydari thing, or just?
I think it's like you want to follow what's the right ruling from the imam instead of like having like not having someone that's infallible, like following them. Instead, you want to follow someone that's infallible.
Okay, good point. Brother or sister, sorry, that's my ignorance. Shabana, if I pronounce it correctly. Again, my
Yes, salam alaikum, brothers.
Salam alaikum, sister, sorry.
Salam alaikum, everyone. Okay, the beginning of the sentence is so beautiful. Like, it shows us how we can get close to what we all aim for is the pleasure of Allah. And one of the keys Allah has given us, you obey the Imam after recognize him. So and then that follows what the other brother just said. So the key to get closer to Allah is he has, linked his wilayah to the wilayah of the Imams. So if you want to get close to Allah, know the Imam, love him, obey him, and then all your deeds are accepted. Even if you fall short, they will be compensated for. That's what I feel. It's so beautiful. I don't know if I made sense.
Absolutely. Very, very good point. And yes, this is a very beautiful hadith. And maybe that's why I picked this one among others from this book. So, to the point that Brother Ali mentioned as well, in light of discussion we had earlier, like those are the exemplar. Those are the ones that Allah chose. So if I'm not connected to them, we have a lot of hadiths elaborating on that fact, why it is not rewarded, why it is not at least accepted. Okay, that itself is a very beautiful and broad topic, that the amal, the deed of someone that doesn't believe in the wilayah of the hujjah of the time, whoever that is. In the time of Musa alayhi salam, we have that hadith that someone was going to the mountain, praying back and forth, killing himself. Allah told Musa, tell him, don't make yourself tired. If you don't come the way that Musa has taught you, good luck. Why? Again, we talked in depth about why it is the whole concept of prophethood and imamah. So their amal will not be accepted. So inshallah next week we'll talk. Oh, it's 11:32. So that clock, you need to fix it, friends, because that will mislead me and people will think that I'm talking too much. I'm talking too much, but I respect the time. So we wanted to read more. There's another hadith number 12 that I wanted to read and discuss, but we don't have time. I think we'll continue from here next week. I don't want to miss the material that we have. But for next week, please take a look to the chapter 2. And I want to ask a question. We think about it. It's not 100% related, but you will see in one story in chapter 2 that you read that this question was raised. Are Shias the only people that they go to heaven? Okay, think about it. Not now. Are Shias, because according to these ahadith that we read, Man mata wa lam ya'rif imama zamanihi mata mitatan jahiliyyah. Jahiliyyah means doomed. So, but is that the case? The answer is, the answer is years of discussions, right, Faisal? But in one of the ahadith and the stories mentioned in the 2nd chapter, someone wanted to go meet the Imam Mahdi and Imam Askari. He had conversation. That's one of the questions that person asked Imam. And the questions in that conversation are very interesting. So as an encouragement for next week, please take a look and read. Chapter 2 is not too long. Chapter 2 of the book. And I hope next week we can cover 2 and 3 together and inshallah go faster. This chapter and these 2 chapters are a little in depth. That's why it took some time. But after that, inshallah, we'll be going faster. Any comments, any question before we adjourn? I think you are kind enough to forgive me for finishing at 11:34 because we started at 10:35, right? All right, so let's recite the dua. Again, dua is not a formality, especially the dua for the Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. We start our session with prayer for him to act upon the order of Prophet, tamassaku, to show our respect and ask him for his guidance and his attention, inshallah, to our hybrid gathering. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammadin wa ajjil farajahum. اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. Sorry, before everyone leave, I just remembered, Sister Zahra, I copied your question and not to be disrespectful. Sorry, we ran out of time. Inshallah, that's a very critical and important question. Inshallah, next week we'll address that. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Khuda Hafiz.
Khuda Hafiz.